50 years ago, Israel received immigrants from all over the world. In order to provide these newcomers with jobs, the government decided to develop labor-intensive industries, the most dominant of which was the textile and clothing industry. Many textile factories opened, providing decent jobs for machine operators, foremen, and technicians. 2 decades passed, and the needs of this industry changed. Then, in 1970, Shenkar College, was born. I was conceived 2 years earlier during the Jerusalem Economic Conference, which was held in 1968. My parents, the government, and the Israeli textile industry understood that the textile industry needed manpower of academic level, engineers and designers in order to upgrade the industry. This led to the resolution, adopted in March 1969, to establish a textile and fashion institute at the Shenkar School at Ramat Gan. Dr. Alec Lerner, who chaired the Committee of Fashion and Textile at the conference, accepted the invitation from both government and industry to take the lead in establishing the institute. Dr. Lerner, who through family ties was strongly connected with Marks & Spencer, served for years as chairman of my board of governors and executive council, and years later was appointed life chancellor of the college. Dr. Nathan Brown, head of the New York City Educational Committee, emigrated to Israel and was appointed first president. Immediately, an administrative staff and academic faculty were recruited, and in October 1970, I opened my gates with 300 students. Foreign regional committees were established. The most active of them were the American, British, German, and French committees. Leading industrialists and professionals from all over the world joined in to assist, advise, and encourage. Among the first were Lord Marcus Ziv, Louis Goodman, and Ismar Glassman from England, Ben Marcus, Sidney Bernstein, and Harold Korzenik from the US, Dr. Karl Hausner from Germany, and Maxi Librati from France. The Israeli members of the family who helped raise me were Ernst Wodak, Hannah Weiss, Lola Ber, Israel Pollack, Shalom Matzkin, Rosie Ben Yosef, Jacob Lahav, Jacob Lessinger, Dov Yakubovich, Shaul Kreppel, and many more. Some of them accompany me until this day. I started training students in 5 areas of specialization: textile design, fashion design, textile technology, textile chemistry, and industrial management. In 1976, Dr. Gad Alon was appointed my second president. At that time, I was endorsed as an Institute of Higher Education by the Council for Higher Education in Israel. I was visited by leading figures from the government and industry. In 1976, Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin visited Shenkar. Mr. Rabin's second visit to Shenkar was as guest of honor at the board meeting of 1995, 5 months before he was assassinated. In 1983, my finances were transferred from the Ministry of Industry and Trade to the Council for Higher Education, which is responsible for all university budgets in Israel. My family abroad kept on supporting me, opening study centers, installing state-of-the-art equipment in my spinning, knitting, weaving, and apparel workshops, thus helping me become one of the leading industry-oriented institutes worldwide. Always in the forefront of technological developments, my laboratories and workshops were equipped with the most modern machines. The high-tech revolution did not skip textiles, and when computerized color measurement was introduced by Data Color, the Ismar Glassman Computerized Color Center opened and served both students and industry. After a noble and courageous struggle with his terminal illness, our beloved president, Gad Alon, passed away in 1987. His death was a great loss to all of us, and he will forever be remembered for his contribution to the academic and research progress of Shenkar. The members of my board of governors are all leading figures in industry, academy, private business, and public work. Each of them has a special personal story which singles him or her out. One board member was an outstanding scientist at the Weizmann Institute, a scholar, chemist, and an authority in the research of the human brain. The grandchild of Lord Herbert Samuel, the first High Commissioner of Israel during the British Mandate, Professor David Samuel, Viscount of Mount Carmel, was nominated my third president. Naturally, families grow, and so did mine. My existing committees were joined by the Canadian and Swiss committees, and later by the Brazilian committee. The heart of every academic institution is a library. My first library was a small room on the 4th floor. Sidney Bernstein, one of my dearest and most beloved friends, a wise man full of initiative and vision, took it upon himself to build a new 3-story building, which will house a rich collection of books, periodicals, slides, and videos, and enable my students to work in a comfortable library. The library was dedicated in the name of Sidney and his late wife, Anita Bernstein. Adjacent to the library, the Bennett and Pauline Rose Archive houses a 19th and 20th century collection of costumes, as well as archaeological, ethnic, antique, and contemporary textiles of various origins. Want to see an evening dress designed by Oleg Cassini and worn by Jacqueline Kennedy? Want to see a silk wedding dress from 1882? They are all in my archive. In 1990, Lily and Joshua Rahn laid the foundation to my highly advanced computer science laboratory, which serves the students in all my departments. Later, when I embarked on the non-woven fabrics domain, Lily and Joshua Rahn placed a new line of non-woven fabric production in my technology department. This technology now serves industries such as geotextiles, agriculture, and disposable medical products. Loyal to Shenkar's advancement in high-tech and computerized technology, David Pernick, CEO of the Monarch Knitting Machine Corporation in the U.S. and chairman of the Shenkar Board of Governors, established the Computer-Aided Design Laboratory at Shenkar. 1992 marked the inaugurations of the Pearl and Max Marco Print and Textile Design Workshop and the Helena and Samson Betensky Apparel Technology Center. The number of my students kept on growing, and my graduates are employed in top positions in almost all leading companies in Israel and abroad. The principle that always guided my activity was serving industry, thus contributing to Israel's economy. Apart from providing industry with excellent graduates each year, I gradually turned into a center of information, research and development, and service to industry. 1994 marked the opening of Marks & Spencer Accrediting Laboratories, which serve Marks & Spencer suppliers in Israel, Egypt, and Turkey, as well as most Israeli companies which export to Europe and the U.S. The laboratories were established with the generous help of our British friends. In February 1991, during the Gulf War, Israel was under massive attack of missiles from Iraq. Well rooted in the community, I accepted the idea of Mr. Tzvi Bar, mayor of Ramat Gan, to host children from neighboring kindergartens in order to give them a sense of security. My first floor turned into a civil defense headquarters. It is very rare to find a mayor who is so enthusiastic about the aspects of welfare and education in his city. I am fortunate to have one, Mr. Tzvi Bar, who accompanies me faithfully in all stages of my development. Professor Amatz Weinberg, formerly a scientist at Israel's aircraft industries, started his association with Shenkar as a lecturer and head of chemistry department. In 1994, he became my 4th president. Remember how I was created? Remember the need of personnel for the textile industry? Well, this task was so successfully fulfilled by me that other industries in Israel requested to follow the same model. For years, the plastics industry employed technicians and engineers who came from the area of chemistry and mechanical engineering. They felt the need for engineers specializing in plastics processes and machinery and turned to Shenkar to give them the answer. In 1996, the Department of Plastics Engineering opened with a workshop housing equipment relating to each process of plastics manufacturing. The turn in my scope of activity led to my entering many other areas, all of them successful industries in Israel. Branching from my Department of Industrial Engineering and Management is my new Department of Computer Science. The courses given in this department are designed to open career opportunities for my graduates with an emphasis on computer applications in industry and commerce. Under the patronage of Hans Stern, the Department of Jewelry Design opened in 1998. This followed recognition by the Israeli Jewelry Manufacturers Association and the Diamond Industrialists Association of the potential of this program for expanding Israel's presence in global jewelry trade. My other departments developed in order to adapt to the ever-changing fields of science and design. My Department of Industrial Chemistry now covers areas such as chemical engineering, polymers, composite materials, environmental science, chemical sciences associated with electronic materials, and the science of biomaterials for use in medicine, cosmetics, and beauty. Under the auspices of the Chemistry Department, 2 centers are presently engaged in research activity. The Joe Weinstein Center for Research in Medical Textiles focuses on the development of medical devices and implants used in a diversity of clinical disciplines. This center was established in memory of the late Joe Weinstein by his daughter Sylvia and her husband Max L. Schulman.
Another example, we are dealing with artificial blood vessels. This is a necessity. Unfortunately, the body cannot supply all what we need, and it extends life, and it's very important.
The Edelstein Center for Analysis of Ancient Textiles is devoted to the task of analyzing ancient textile artifacts discovered by archaeologists in Israel and abroad. Of particular interest are the sources of the textile dyes, pigments, and fibers used in these artifacts. This center was established by the late Dr. Sidney Edelstein and his wife, Mildred Edelstein. My Industrial Technology Department is keeping abreast with the latest developments of new fibers, revolutionary processes, and innovative commercial structures and products. Exposure to the science and technology of advanced fibers broaden the scope of this department to high-tech and composite materials. The Industrial Technology faculty is intensively engaged in the development of new technologies and the conversion of machinery for modern uses. This is made possible thanks to the Marcus Ziv Chair established by our British friends. The development of a pilot 3-dimensional weaving machine by the technology staff yielded a product of 3D reinforced graphite composite material for aerospace applications.
We believe that it's vital for an academic institution to deal with research and development. Otherwise, the faculty is not updated and the students are not getting state-of-the-art. I'll give you a couple of examples of what we do here at Shenkar in R&D. I'm holding now probably the most advanced material that man can make. It's graphite composite, 3-dimension reinforced. It's the strongest material made by man, and it can take 2000 degrees centigrade, which no metal can resist.
My industrial engineering and management departments train its students for the 21st century in different specializations, including management information systems, operations management, marketing, and retail. A master's degree in global textile marketing is offered in collaboration with Philadelphia and Reutlinger universities. Side by side with developing my technological and scientific expertise aimed at enabling Israeli industry to achieve the highest standards of excellence and competitiveness, my design school has become a worldwide center of fashion design and textile design. The annual fashion shows in textile and interior design exhibitions are highlight events in the Israeli design scene and attract hundreds of spectators and visitors. Today, I am 30, still going strong. 920 students study at Shenkar this year, and 1,100 students are expected next year. Plans for the future include new departments of product design and visual communication and a master's degree in design. The expansion in areas of studies and the growing number of students demand physical growth. The original building can no longer house thousands of students. In 1999, the first foundations of the late Arnold and his wife Eniko Lorber new campus were laid, and the building is due to be complete by 2002. In all my further development, I will endeavor to be in the forefront of engineering and design education always keeping abreast with the needs of Israeli industry, constantly updating my teaching programs so that my graduates lead the industry in design, high tech, and management.